my overthinking brain. Oh. Isn't it amazing that sometimes perceived danger can be overwhelming, and real danger we can actually be quite tolerant of? Sometimes where we feel that our brain has actually gone into total overload and feeling overwhelmed, and yet the thing that we're worried about is actually fairly benign, and actually we're not in any actual danger. It's just our feeling of being threatened and feeling of insecurities or tolerances to different levels of exposure are low, so we want to basically run and hide. The beginning of this next section of the video is exactly that thing, where I'm actually looking to talk about roadblocks that we have in our lives and that we put in place. And it was during the videoing of that I had a situation where my brain went into total defense. Let's get out of here, run, flee, hide, make myself the smallest target as possible. And yet now here I am riding a bike, one-handed with my camera. Not going particularly fast, but certainly a few years ago, after I'd had an injury, riding a bike at speed I found very difficult, and also found that it was, if I was riding a bike, I had to concentrate completely on that skill set. Otherwise my sense of balance and my sense of timing was very much feeling it was vulnerable and exposed to anything else that was happening. And yet now I can feel I can, within limits, multitask and keep a fairly good assessment of what's happening around me, as well as talking through this video. So that's all said, let's get into the clip in question and explain a little bit more afterwards. So today I'm talking about roadblocks. We've all faced them, we all have them in our lives, and of course today it's raining. So we can either go inside and not do anything, or we can dress appropriately. This is one way of doing it. And of course, this is the other way of doing it. Share something with you. I've just shot the scene from where I'm doing the umbrella and then changing to a jacket. During those takes, I actually had some people arrive at the park, and my inner shy person wanted to flee as fast as possible, so I wrapped up those takes as quickly as I possibly could. By the time I've opened the car door, my heart is pounding. I'm wanting to get out of there, and I really just want to flee back home and finish up and not do this channel at all. But that's exactly why I'm doing this channel. This is to show people that you can seem confident in one spot, and yet you can be actually feeling quite fragile underneath and quite reluctant. So it's to show you that sometimes you can pick yourself up and do it anyway. I would never in the past have decided to stay in the car, sit in this place, let my heart rate come back down, let my breathing come back down, and let myself speak to you and actually tell you about the feelings and fears that I'm having at the moment. I'm glad I sat here. I'm glad I just let myself look at the rain on the windshield. The people in the car didn't care. They literally drove up to the park, saw how wet it was, and turned around. There was 3 sets of cars that pretty much did the same thing. One car parked a little, about 10 meters away, but didn't actually get out. I was probably a mild curiosity to them, but they didn't care. And yet my inner thoughts were, oh my God, how much of a fool am I looking? We all have those thoughts, and this is exactly why I'm hoping to do this
channel going forward to show you that you're not alone with those thoughts, that these thoughts will happen and these short thoughts will reoccur, but it's learning how to control them, and learning, is the why big enough to get through? And finally, my why is big enough. I want to reach out and show and help people as well that have looked confident on the outside, but maybe not on the inside, or have had roadblocks in their life where they're slowly taking the joy out of their life by being safe. And yet a big, wide, exciting world waits for us, and we get to live this life as we are right now. So let's go out and enjoy it. I really hope these videos help in the future for you guys. Thank you for joining me.
Literally 3 months ago, this is about the only way I could have made myself do anything out in a vague public venue. And it's taken my journey a little while to just get to here, through persistence, through just wanting to do it, and then that why became big enough to allow myself to be exposed to it one more time, and then one more time, and one more time after that, and slowly getting a little bit more comfortable with just looking into the lens and not panicking about it. So this has been my journey so far, and I hope you come along for it too.
This video was actually going to be put together about roadblocks, and roadblocks in conjunction with the environment, that we can't change things, and so we have to adapt and move around them, and also then be okay with accepting things. This was going to be the topic of this video, and yet what it turned into was my own fears and vulnerabilities, my own anxieties to do with being watched, and that whole spotlight effect, that you feel that you're the only person that has everyone in the world, you know, judging them and critiquing them and making assumptions about whether you can or can't do something, and whether you're got any value to be able to do that. So having a plan, having goals was really important, obviously, to start out with, but then it became that flexible moment of sitting with my own insecurities and sitting with my own fears, and allowing myself to wash through that, to take that breath, take that pause moment, and let myself just be back into that present. And I think this, for me, was a very important coaching message to myself. And often as a coach, this is what it's all about. This is what we all do in life, that we start out with something, and then we can learn actually something quite different if we are open to that learning process. So for me, it was about genuinely grounding myself in that moment. It was about me realizing that it was just there in that context of the park. Those other cars really didn't care. It also showed me that I really wanted to do this clip. I really wanted to do what I'm hopefully going to do with this channel. And after a few days of processing that, it actually made me feel quite stronger about it. Whereas if I'd probably tried to do that 2, 3, 4 years ago, that would have put it back on the back burners for another 3-6 months. And sometimes that's what happens with little setbacks, or we think setbacks at the time, or we think we want to run away from at the time. If we let ourselves sit with them, we can often then learn from them and really look into why we're doing it in the first place. And my why is that I want to show people, or help show people, that we all can have that dreadful defensive brain going, you're not good enough, you can't do this, you're not ready to do this, there's no reason why you should do this, there's going to be no one out there that wants to hear this. And hopefully there are people out there that can just maybe not have a big takeaway but from this video, but have that sense that they are not the only ones that get that dreadful, gut churning moment of they're not good enough, they're not worthy, and seeing someone else go through that and seeing someone else just sit with it and then proceed to do this video anyway and put it out there, and hopefully it gives you the courage to do whatever you're looking to do in the near future. So that was one of the takeaways that I had from that you can have a goal, you can have a plan, but it's actually being flexible in the moment and also learning from whatever happened in that moment. And when that happens, it often then makes you stronger for what comes next. The other thing that was for me was also it made me go back and look at my processes for how I was actually doing the videos and training myself a little bit more, spending more time practicing in front of the camera. I didn't go out there and make myself go into public spaces, but I did make myself carry the camera around a lot more over the next few days, and I made myself talk to camera a little bit more and talk into the lens a little bit more, which I'd actually found quite difficult to do. So it made me reassess my own little blind sides that I knew were partly there, but I had hoped that somehow I could, fingers crossed, and just blunder my way through. This was a really important stage in actually going fully into commitment and fully into, well, how do I make that work, and what do I need to do to make that work? So I went back and reassessed a few things, changed a few things, and went into a series of just mildly exposing myself to the camera more and to the whole process more. So those were my two things, or two main things that I felt from the video, or making this video. However, I know from past experience when I've done presentations that everyone has a different takeaway, everyone has a different stage in their own learning and growth moment, so you might find something quite different, and I hope that's true. And if you want to share that with me on the comments, that would be wonderful. Just finding out that we're all out there and all having those terror moments with our brains wanting to be really helpful and telling us to be safe and to run away and don't be in any form of perceived danger, and yet to live a bigger and fuller life we want to be out there and doing things. So if you want to join me on that journey, keep watching and subscribing to this channel. Hope to see you out there again soon. Take care, be kind to yourself first, and then be kind to others.